It's really easy to make a lightweight wheel. The challenge is to make a lightweight wheel that's also really, really strong.
I didn't realize how much it goes into a wheel. Nice worth every penny, guys. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while, but I'm here at HRE Wheels with Alan, the CEO, and he's gonna give us a tour, and he's gonna give me some options, how we're gonna dress up my Bugatti Vitesse. So what do you got here, Alan? Give me a little tour. It's a humongous building, first of all. When I come, it keeps going
and
going.
Well, the building, we don't have all of it, but it's about 90,000 square feet that's dedicated to us. This is the showroom, and there's a warehouse and event space and some stuff down this side. But right outside this door, we'll go through and I'll show you the factory, which is where all of our forged wheels are made. And that'll give you a sense for how things happen, why we do certain things the way we do. And then we'll come back and we can look at different styles and some finish options for your Bugatti.
Awesome. Okay, well, last time I saw you was on we were on the panel at the Peterson Museum 2 years ago.
Exactly, the hypercar panel.
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
Nice to see you again. I'm eager to see your R&D.
Our design process is a little bit different. Sometimes somebody like Patrick, who's our creative director, will sketch a concept, and then we'll put that in the computer and we'll edit it and analyze it for structure and strength and all those things. And then other times we'll just sit as a group and go, hey, we want to create this, and for this market, for this vehicle or whatever, the engineer will actually come up with the concept himself. And then as a team, we'll iterate and iterate and iterate. In the old days, I used to design all the wheels, and sometimes they're hit and miss. Today, it is really more of a team effort, but the person actually creating the design is doing the structural analysis at the same time, so that any compromises that need to be made for strength or for getting rid of extra weight doesn't hurt the style, because it's the same person. Let's go out to the factory.
I'll put my safety glasses on. Made by Bugatti.
Well, obviously have a lot of raw material. Most of it actually comes from Taiwan. We used to get everything from the United States. But they're not really keeping up on the innovation and on the material. So years ago we switched. The alloy is just stronger. It's nicer. We've done some comparison testing recently.
Like density and...
It's not the density, it's the strength.
It's strength.
It's the fatigue life.
And
so we did some comparison testing where we're making identical wheels out of the US material and out of the
Taiwan.
And the Taiwanese, literally, it goes twice as long. I mean, if you went to their facility, it's like $100 million been invested in this thing in the last few years. And they're doing OE work for exotic companies in Europe. It's not like we're buying it cheap. In fact, they're probably the most expensive supplier in the world.
So this is it. This is the raw.
So this is a raw one-piece forging. It's already been turned, but it's turned to a thicker profile.
I see.
And what we do with that is then we'll take it and we'll put it on these lathes, and we're going to cut it down to the actual profile that we need. It will still be solid. It won't have the style. But basically, it's going to go into one of these lathes, and they're going to cut one side of it, they're going to flip it over, and then they're going to cut the back side. And the same thing happens with the modular wheels. So for two-piece wheels, the center is missing the barrel, but the center does the same. We have another barrel that will bolt to it, but the same process. Basically, the face gets cut, and then it gets flipped over, and the back gets cut, and then it's shaped to the actual profile of the style that we want for that specific order. Let me show you a traditional modular, and I'll come back and I'll talk about this for a second.
Yeah, show me the old school way you used to do it.
So this is pretty traditional. This is a 3-axis mills, and this is where we're cutting the style. And then this is a modular center, a two-piece center. It usually takes about 3 to 4 hours per wheel. We have some designs that are like our old classics, really simple cuts, can be an hour. And then we have some like our L1s that are really big and have a lot of complexity. Some of them can take up to 10 hours per.
Wow.
And
so 40 hours for 4 wheels.
And I'll show you, and I didn't show you in the showroom, but some of the cuts are like really simple, but some have these complex surfaces. In the old days, we didn't actually have the capability to design it or machine it. Today, you can make these really subtle surfaces that look sometimes even fairly simple, but when it comes to design and it comes to machining, it's actually a pretty complex, time-consuming process to cut that. Whereas in the old days, maybe it was casted, you cut the tool once. We're cutting it every single time like that, and so that complexity adds a lot of time to the wheel. And almost none of our wheels today have that, unless we purposely design it to not look like that, right? It adds a level of sophistication and stuff that's just expected today. What we have here, for our one piece, we have 5 big mills. These are horizontal. I'll show you the difference is they cut this way. The wheels go in like this, and they cut this way, and they'll cut the face, and they'll flip them around the back, and they'll cut the back, and they'll turn at an angle and cut the valve stem.
Wow.
And so when it comes out of this mill, it's done. So what you're looking at here, this is called a robotic cell system. And this is attached to all 5 of these mills. And so there's a robot inside here. So we'll load in the blanks and then we'll store them in one of these stations. And it waits until the wheels are done. And then it'll unload the machine and store it, and it'll put a new one in. Yes, we're not super busy at the moment, so it's not running 24/7.
Yeah.
But during COVID, oh my gosh, we would load it up with 40 wheels on Friday night, and then we would come in Sunday morning and unload it, and then we'd load it back up Sunday morning, and it would come in on Monday and it'd still be running. And it'll be, and like I said, every 2 wheels is different.
That's amazing.
And it does all the engraving and everything. So this is how we track.
Wow.
Right?
So cool.
Yeah. It's
The precision is crazy. How many wheels at a time does it work on?
So there's 5 mills. There's 5 wheels in the machine at any time, and then it's basically, it can store up to another 30 or whatever, and then it just waits.
It rotates.
And there's actually 2. You can put 2 in the machine, one on the front and one on the back. So it can actually, this can handle quite a bit.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you don't make any carbon fiber wheels here. You don't have an inclay for carbon.
Yeah, we don't do the carbon fiber here. Our carbon fiber barrel, which I can show you back in the showroom, it is made for us specifically. We help develop it, but we aren't carbon. I used to be a carbon fiber expert 30 years ago when I was in aerospace, but not anymore.
Yeah.
The carbon barrels that are out on the market, they've been created by carbon people. They know carbon fiber really well, but they're not necessarily wheel companies.
Yeah.
Whereas we really understand wheels. And so we wanted to work with someone that was a carbon expert, but we were wheel experts. And so together, we created the geometry, we had recommendations for some of the materials and some of the we defined all the specifications, and they created the actual part and they make it for us. Although we do have plans to bring that production here into that building over there.
Yeah,
or
I think that's a huge
here.
opportunity.
Yeah, we want to bring it, actually it'll probably go in this building.
People will pay $100,000 for a set of full carbon fiber.
And we have other cool stuff too, because one of the other things we're working on is not just carbon fiber, but we're also interested in things like additive manufacturing, 3D printing and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the future for us.
That is cool. Is that a 3-piece wheel?
So this is carbon. This is our carbon barrel. So it's a 2-piece. So this is the barrel that I was talking about. This is made in the UK for us.
Yeah.
And then, but again, we define all this geometry. We know how to maximize stiffness on the geometry and all these other things. But the actual layup we left to them so that they could do it. But I mean, if you look at this, it's compared to our competitors, it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. This is basically where we're going to do the hand brush finishes, where they'll spend hours, depending on the complexity of the design, they may spend 3 or 4 hours per wheel brushing it. Wow. Here. In the old days, we used to polish in there too, but as the designs got more complex, you have these really intricate features, and you have some more delicate, I mean, look at this. There's quite a bit of complexity. And what you don't want to do is the big buffs on polish when you're hand polishing will ruin all of that. It'll take away a lot of that detail. Yeah. So what we do is we'll put them in 3 different steps: a tumbling step, another media polishing step, and then the final step. Basically, it's here. Feel in here right now. It's basically going through. This is the 3rd and final step.
So this is what makes it
super shiny.
Wow.
So this is a high hardness ceramic. And what it'll do is when this wheel comes out, it will be high polished.
Wow. I didn't realize how much it goes into a wheel. Nice worth every penny, guys.
That's the thing. People come and they're like, oh, I'm going to learn about wheels. And then they actually realize, oh, there's actually a lot that goes into it. And there really is. People don't realize this. We're an aftermarket company, right? So we make wheels for aftermarket, but we do OE business too. So we have some OE customers, and we do a lot with a lot of the big OEs and some exotic car companies. Exactly. And the quality requirements from that
is very high.
Way high. What's really nice is we took the mindset of, oh, well, let's not just hire a consultant, bring in a consultant and kind of fake it and get the cert. It's like, no. Let's really use these processes to really make us make a better product. Fine tune our processes, really understand what's going on so that it's real. So this is a 1-piece. So this is normally an assembly. So this is where we'll assemble a 2-piece like a carbon with that
put it together,
so they'll get bolted together with our high-strength stainless fasteners. But for a 1-piece, really what he's just doing, he's just checking the powder coat, make sure there's no flaws or anything like that, and he's touching anything up.
There's quality control here.
And this is the final step, just to make sure. Obviously, for machining, we check everything after each step, and so quality gets checked along every step. We don't want to wait till the very end and check
send it back,
and then realize we just wasted a bunch of time. So this is the final finished QC mainly. So Robert's been here for 10 years.
10. Oh, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
In terms of integrity, do you
Yes.
put the wheels through a stress test before you ship them out?
So there's different standards around the world.
Yeah.
There's an American standard SAE, there's a Japanese standard JWL, and there's a European standard TUV. Or it's not TUV, but it's TUV basically.
Yeah.
We found that the German standard is the harder standard.
Yeah.
So all of our wheels are designed to that standard, and there's different load ratings though. So you have to be careful. Like people can say, "Oh, I passed the standard." Well, at what load rating?
Yeah.
We'll see that all the time. It's like, okay, you may have passed the test, but the load rating is insufficient for the vehicle. Put it this way, it's really easy to make a lightweight wheel. The challenge is to make a lightweight wheel that's also really, really strong.
Of course.
Right? And that's where we spend all of our time.
Oh, powder coating.
Yeah, powder coating. So we're going a little bit backwards. Basically what we're gonna do is color on that side and then clear coat on this side. And then they get cured in these ovens. One thing to be really careful about with powder coat, most powder coats cure at 400 Fahrenheit, and that's gets you a really nice finish, but that's fine if you're putting that on steel. When you're putting that on forged aluminum, you will degrade the heat treatment of the 6061 T6 aluminum that we use, and you can easily take 20% of the strength out of it.
Oh, wow.
And so don't have somebody take your wheels and repowder coat them.
I know, I did that in my HRE GT, to be honest with you, many years ago.
If it's liquid paint, that's usually room temperature cure, that's not a problem.
Yeah, if it's an oven.
But powder coat is usually 400 F, and people do it all the time. They're not thinking about the metallurgy underneath, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for us, that's really, really
you
critical.
compromise the integrity of the aluminum.
So for us, we use powder coat for all of our standard finishes, but we drop the temperature and extend the time to make sure that we're staying. There's certain phases of the aluminum, and as long as you stay below, you don't change it, right? So you cross over, and now you've changed the composition.
This is such an art! Oh my God! No, a lot goes into it that you don't realize.
That's the thing.
Everything you do impacts the integrity.
That's the thing. If we get a wheel back and we've seen that somebody's repowder coated it, the warranty's void.
Yeah,
the warranty's void. So this is cleaning, obviously. If we're going to go through all that polishing and all of that,
you want to make sure it's
we need to make sure we got to clean it, right? So.
Yeah, this was very eye-opening. Thank you, Alan.
Yeah, so that was super fast.
I have a whole different level of appreciation for what you guys do now. I thought you just order them from China, comes on a big truck, and voila.
There are people on the internet that say, "Oh no, HREs are all made in China. I know the factory, and you can get HREs made there." And it's like, wait.
Well, they won't after this video.
But it's like the weirdest thing.
90,000 square feet, R&D, engineering, everything all in one plant here, and this was amazing, eye-opening treat.
Yeah, awesome.
So thank you, Alan. All right.
Let's go actually look at some
That's
options
right, I
for your
forgot about my wheels.
So I think you were potentially interested in this. This is the
similar, or was that it, Nate?
That's the one.
That's the one? Okay, yeah.
P111 SC, right?
And so you guys, I think, could do a two-tone kind of
we
mesh.
Can do, actually. So we can do a hand brushed on the face.
Yeah.
And then we can do different, whatever the other finish is. This wheel I think does, obviously it's not a Bugatti wheel, but I think it actually definitely has the feel of the Bugatti.
It comes close to the design.
Yes, and so one of the things we don't like to see is people putting a wheel on a car and it just doesn't fit, right? It just looks inappropriate. I think this would actually look really, really nice. But we have other styles. So one of the other, actually, this is a brand new wheel, but P301. So it's actually designed to have it without a disc. So a lot of people are running this in the front with no disc, and they're running this in the back with the disc. We just came out with this within the past month, and it's already proving what we thought. It's going to be our most popular
That's
style.
kind of cool design, but it does take away from the original look of the
Rembrandt. For sure.
But
so
that one's kind of close.
Definitely. So you can. One of the things we can do. One of the things we can do for you is we can create renders.
Yeah.
We can render it with that front and rear. We can render it with that front, and that rear, just so you get a sense. We can render it with the other style, the 111, and we can show you those different renders. So that's something our team can do. Definitely do.
Yeah, I think your team already sent a render of one that looked really cool. Was it this one, Nate?
Yeah, I would have to. I'll pull up the email.
No, that'd be amazing.
And then with finishes, your car's
it's two-tone. Yeah, it's got
it's like the beautiful brown, right?
Yeah, it's like tobacco.
Yeah,
like cigars.
Okay, yeah. The guy showed me that car, and it's like, oh, that's gorgeous. So
you know, it still has the original tires on it from 14 years ago.
That's the problem. So that's actually becoming a big reason why a lot of Veyron owners are coming to us for wheels, because of that original pack system, right? And so tires are becoming a problem.
Yeah, the problem with it is, forget the cost of it, which is 40 grand, right?
Yeah.
The problem is, last time I put the tires on my old Veyron, the manufacturing date was already 5 years old.
Yeah, right.
And they said, well, they're not going to produce until they run this. I'm like, why would I pay 10,000 a tire for it?
The expired tires? Yeah, that's crazy.
And you know, rubber, it loses its elasticity, so it's not,
age.
even if you don't drive it, it's got a full thread, but you still lose that compounding effect.
On the finish side, did you have thoughts about what finishes you were thinking about doing?
Yeah, just a two-tone. The render that your team sent, it looks pretty good.
What was the base color? Do you know?
Oh, you found it?
Oh, yeah, see, those 111 SEs do.
Is that it?
Yeah, those do look good.
Yeah.
Those look really good. Oh, actually, those are not two-tone. Those are just...
single color. Yeah. Okay,
so
that works.
If we're going to color match to the lower, wouldn't be a powder coat that we do here, but we have a guy that we can color match that too. As long as we can get the code, you might be able to get the paint code from.
Yeah, okay.
That's gorgeous.
Awesome.
That's absolutely gorgeous. So when I was out in the shop, I was talking about how we have basically the 4 different substrates. So we can do normal opaque, black, silver, right? Like you would normally expect. And then we have our tumbled finish, which we call stone. It gives it this mottled sort of stone look you can kind of see. That's why we called it that. And then we'll put a translucent clear over that. And then to get it to go to the frozen, what we do is after we've shot this translucent clear,
you put it in the freezer.
We'll put a satin over the top of it.
All right.
And then the same thing happens here with the brushed. I think you were thinking about brushed.
Yeah.
And so we hand brush it. That's where the guys do that hand brush finish, right? And we'll do the same thing with the translucent and then the satin. And then if it goes to high polish, it's exactly the same step. So the clear coat in these 3 cases is all the same, but you can see it looks slightly different depending on what the substrate finish is underneath it. So it gives a lot of variation, but if you're looking to color match, again, that's a whole different ballgame, right?
Yeah. So. Well, let me take a few samples, see what comes closest.
I'd recommend taking these. If you want to take these come right off the wall. So, and then think about, and if there's something that wants to contrast, or this is the same but brushed.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's gone through polish.
What do you think? So. Those are the right 2 colors.
Yeah.
The Rembrandt.
Maybe even try some brush finishes too.
Yeah, I mean, feel free. Yeah, take these 2. Yeah. If you want satin, or do you want to try gloss?
I think gloss. Yeah, let me try one.
It's gloss on the car right now, correct?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, take the gloss.
Yeah. This will do it. All right. Well, that will do it for this phase. The next video, you guys are going to see the actual wheel done at Bowden. And Alan, you're a class act.
Manny.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was eye-opening. I learned so much about wheels.
It was my pleasure.
I'm not opening a wheel business. Too hard, too hard. Thank you.
Absolutely.